Some people cry and can't explain why. Some people smile all day and fall apart the moment they're alone. Some people look fine from the outside, functioning, achieving, completely broken on the inside. We call all of these depression, but they are not the same thing. They don't look the same, they don't feel the same, and they don't heal the same. Today we're going through every single type, one by one, simply, honestly, and without judgment. Somewhere in this video you might finally hear your experience described out loud, and if that happens, you are not alone. You never were. 1. Major depressive disorder. This is the one most people picture when they hear the word depression. You wake up and the color has drained out of everything. Your favorite food tastes like nothing. Things that used to bring you joy don't anymore. Getting out of bed feels like climbing a mountain. Replying to a message feels impossible. It isn't sadness. Sadness has a reason and it moves. This is heavier. It's a fog that settles over everything and doesn't lift on its own. People say just think positive. But you can't think your way out of major depression any more than someone with a broken leg can just decide to walk. It's a shift in brain chemistry, in energy, in the soul's ability to connect with life. What this person needs most isn't advice. It's someone who sits with them in the fog and says, I see you. I'm not going anywhere. 2. High-functioning depression. This one wears a disguise. The person wakes up, goes to work, hits their deadlines, laughs at the right moments, and comes home having convinced the entire world they are absolutely fine. Then they close the front door and collapse inside. Nobody believes they're struggling. Sometimes they don't believe it themselves. They keep performing, keep achieving, keep being the strong one, all while a quiet voice underneath says, I am exhausted, I am empty, I cannot keep doing this. High-functioning depression is the depression that gets called resilience. That gets mistaken for strength. That gets overlooked because from the outside, everything looks fine. What they need most isn't to be reminded how much they have to be grateful for. They know. That's part of what makes it so confusing. They need permission to not be okay, to rest, to say I'm struggling without having to prove it first. 3. Seasonal depression. Some people feel at the moment the days get shorter. A specific heaviness arrives in late October and doesn't leave until the light comes back in spring. Like clockwork, like a shadow that follows the calendar. In summer, they feel alive and like themselves. Then autumn comes, the sky turns gray, and slowly so do they. Sleep gets longer but never restful. Motivation disappears. The world feels cold and far away. People say it's just the weather, and that dismissal makes it worse. Because this isn't a preference for sunshine, it's a real shift in brain chemistry triggered by reduced light and changes in serotonin and melatonin their body cannot control. They are not lazy, they are not dramatic. Their biology is responding to the world the only way it knows how. What they need is to be believed, and to know they have survived this every single year before. They will again. 4. Postpartum depression. She waited months for this moment, maybe her whole life. Then they place the baby in her arms, and instead of the flood of love she expected, there is just quiet, frightening emptiness. Then comes the guilt. What kind of mother feels this way? Nothing is wrong with her. This is postpartum depression. After birth, estrogen and progesterone surging throughout pregnancy drop sharply and suddenly. For some women, that hormonal crash triggers a deep, disorienting depression that lasts weeks or months. She may feel disconnected from her baby, from herself. Terrified she's doing everything wrong, completely alone in a room full of people telling her she should be glowing. She is not a bad mother. She is a human being in crisis at the most vulnerable moment of her life, being asked to perform joy she cannot feel. What she needs to hear is simple. This is real. This is not your fault. You do not have to go through this alone. So far, if this is speaking to something you've been carrying, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a like so this reaches more people who are struggling in silence. Let's keep going. 5. Persistent depressive disorder. This one never really announces itself. It doesn't arrive like a storm. It just exists, quietly, in the background. Like a low hum that's been playing so long you've started to think it's just the sound of being alive. This is dysthymia, and the people who live with it often don't even recognize it as depression. They just think, this is who I am. I'm just not a happy person. But that's not who they are. That's what years of low-grade, unaddressed depression has quietly convinced them of. Joy never quite reaches full brightness. The future never looks as open as it seems to for everyone else. They felt this way so long that feeling genuinely well seems like something meant for other people. What they need to hear, and finally believe, this is not your personality. This is not your ceiling. Feeling well is not a luxury reserved for other people. It is something you deserve too. 6. Bipolar depression. This one is often misunderstood because it doesn't travel alone. Bipolar depression is the deep low that comes as part of bipolar disorder, and it is one of the most misdiagnosed conditions in mental health. People get treated for depression alone, without anyone noticing the highs that come in between. The lows look like major depression, emptiness, fatigue, disconnection from life. But what makes bipolar depression different is what surrounds it. Periods of extreme energy, confidence, and elevated mood that can flip without warning into darkness. Living inside it is disorienting. You never quite know which version of yourself is going to wake up. You can't fully trust your own mind. What this person needs most is accurate understanding, from their doctor, from their family, and from themselves. Because treating only half the picture never heals the whole person. Psychotic depression. This is one of the most severe and least talked about forms of depression. Psychotic depression is major depression that becomes so intense it breaks through into reality itself. The person begins to hear things that aren't there, see things, believe things about themselves or the world that have no basis in truth, that they are worthless, that something terrible is about to happen, that they have done something unforgivable. It isn't madness, it isn't weakness. It is what happens when a mind in profound pain tries to make sense of a suffering it cannot contain. This type is often frightening, for the person experiencing it and for the people around them. It requires immediate professional support. What they need most is not to be feared or judged. They need safety, compassionate care, and someone who understands that behind every hallucination is a person in tremendous pain reaching for help the only way their mind knows how. 8. Atypical depression. This one breaks the rules of what depression is supposed to look like. With atypical depression, the mood can actually lift temporarily when something good happens. A compliment, a fun outing, good news, and for a brief moment they feel okay, normal, hopeful. Then it crashes again. This makes it particularly confusing, both for the person and for the people around them. But you seemed fine yesterday. That temporary brightness doesn't mean the depression isn't real. It just means this type responds to the environment in a way others don't. It also comes with other distinct signs: sleeping too much, eating more than usual, an overwhelming heaviness in the arms and legs, and an extreme sensitivity to rejection that can quietly damage every relationship they have. What they need most is for people to stop using their good moments as evidence that nothing is wrong. 9. Premenstrual dysphoric disorder, PMDD. This one has been dismissed for too long. Every month, in the days before her period, something shifts. Not just mood, not just typical PMS. A deep, sometimes debilitating depression descends. And then, almost as suddenly as it arrived, it lifts once her period begins. This is PMDD. And for women who experience it, the cyclical nature is its own kind of suffering. Every month, they know it's coming. Every month they brace. Every month they lose days, sometimes a full week, to a darkness they can't control. It is hormonal. It is neurological. It is real. And for years, many women were told they were overreacting, being dramatic, sensitive. What they need most is to be taken seriously, by doctors, by partners, by themselves. Because a condition that reliably steals a week of your life every single month is not something you just push through. 10. Situational depression. This one gets minimized the most. A relationship ends. A job is lost. Someone dies. A life they worked hard to build falls apart, and they fall with it, into a deep, heavy sadness that doesn't lift the way grief is supposed to. People say, at least you know why you're sad, as if having a reason makes it less real, as if knowing the cause somehow makes the pain easier to carry. Situational depression is not weakness. It is a human being responding honestly to loss. The pain is proportionate to what mattered, and what mattered, mattered. What they need most is for people to stop comparing their pain to someone else's. Grief is not a competition. Hurt is not less valid because it has a name. 11. Agitated depression. This is the depression that doesn't look like depression. No stillness, no quiet crying. Instead, irritability, restlessness, an inability to sit still, a tension in the body that never fully releases, snapping at people they love, feeling wound tight even when nothing specific is wrong. People around them see anger. What they don't see is the exhaustion underneath it. The person isn't choosing to be difficult. They are in pain, and that pain has nowhere to go except outward. Agitated depression is frequently missed because it doesn't match the image people have of what depression looks like. And because it's missed, the person often carries shame on top of the suffering, believing they are just difficult, just angry, just hard to be around. What they need most is for someone to look past the irritability and ask, "Are you okay? Are you actually okay?" 12. Treatment resistant depression. And finally, The one that carries the heaviest weight of all. They have tried the medication, more than one. They have been to therapy. They have done everything they were told to do. And still, the depression remains. This is treatment-resistant depression. And the exhaustion of it is unlike anything else, because it comes with a particular kind of hopelessness that isn't just a symptom of the depression itself. It's the hopelessness of having tried and still not gotten better. People around them sometimes quietly wonder if they aren't trying hard enough, if they want to get better, if they're holding on to it somehow. They are trying. They have been trying. Sometimes the brain simply doesn't respond to the treatments that work for most people, and that is not a character flaw. It is a medical reality that requires deeper, more specialized care. What they need most is for one person, just one, to refuse to give up on them, even when they have given up on themselves. Depression is not one thing. It is the person who cannot get out of bed, the one who goes to work and suffers invisibly, the one who loses themselves every winter, the mother drowning in silence, the one whose brain won't respond to help, the one who looks angry but is actually falling apart. Every single one of these is real. Every single one deserves to be seen. If any part of this video describes something you've been living with, please don't carry it alone. Talk to someone. Reach out. Take one small step toward being seen. And if this helped you understand someone in your life, share it with them. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can offer someone who is suffering is simply the words that say, "I see you." And you are not alone. Drop a like. Leave a comment. Subscribe to The Green Explained for more breakdowns like this every week. I'll see you in the next one.